Think you know history? Think again? Welcome to Echoes of the Past, where we bring you the untold stories and mysteries that shaped our world. From ancient civilizations to forgotten heroes, we'll explore the incredible tales that history books left behind. Get ready to journey through time and discover the echoes of events that still resonate today. Join us and let's unlock the past together.
The story of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom begins at a unique intersection of East and West, in a region known today as Bactria, which encompasses parts of modern-day Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. This land, known for its fertile valleys and proximity to the trade routes that connected China to the Mediterranean, was a key strategic and economic hub. But it wasn't always under the rule of the local peoples. The arrival of the Greeks in Bactria traces back to the conquests of Alexander the Great. In 329 BCE, Alexander's army crossed the Hindu Kush mountains into Bactria, driven by his ambition to expand his empire. The local Bactrians, under the rule of Persian satraps governors at the time, resisted fiercely, but Alexander's forces ultimately defeated them. His conquest of Bactria was crucial not just for military reasons, but also for the spread of Greek culture across the region. After Alexander's death in 323 BCE, his empire was divided among his generals, known as the Diadochi. Bactria fell into the hands of the Seleucid Empire, founded by Seleucus I Nicator, one of Alexander's generals. The Seleucids inherited a large portion of Alexander's eastern territories, including Bactria, but their control was far from secure. The Seleucids, focused on their core territories in the west and facing challenges from other kingdoms, struggled to maintain control over their eastern provinces. Amidst this instability, Greek settlers who had followed Alexander into the region began to establish their own communities and military strongholds. Over the next several decades, the relationship between the Seleucids and their eastern provinces, including Bactria, grew increasingly strained. The vast distance between the Seleucid heartland and Bactria made it difficult for the central government to govern effectively. Moreover, Bactria's local population, a mix of Persians, Greeks, and various Central Asian groups, began to assert their own identities, blending Greek and local cultures. By 256 BCE, Diodotus, the Greek satrap governor of Bactria under the Seleucids, recognized the growing weakness of the Seleucid Empire. He saw an opportunity to gain independence and declare himself king, marking the birth of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom. Diodotus I's rebellion was not just a political move, it was also a cultural statement. He and his successors would go on to establish a kingdom that blended Hellenistic Greek culture with the traditions of the Bactrians and other Central Asian peoples. The Greco-Bactrian Kingdom was a remarkable fusion of cultures, a place where Greek language, art, and architecture mingled with Persian, Indian, and Central Asian influences. This hybrid culture would leave a lasting impact on the history of the region, as Greek-style cities were founded and Greek coinage began to circulate, often bearing both Greek and local symbols. The kingdom's strategic location at the crossroads of the East and West allowed it to prosper through trade, further strengthening its economy and influence. At its height, the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom stretched from modern-day Afghanistan to parts of northern India, encompassing a vast and diverse population. The kingdom's capital, Bactra, modern Balkh in Afghanistan, became a center of Greek culture in Central Asia, a bustling city where Greek merchants, soldiers, and diplomats interacted with locals and people from distant lands. The city and its surrounding territory became a melting pot of ideas, where Greek philosophy and local traditions coexisted. Thus, the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom arose not just from a political vacuum, but from a confluence of historical events, strategic geography, and cultural exchanges. It was a kingdom born from Alexander's dreams of empire and nurtured by the ambition of Greek leaders who sought to maintain Greek influence in a world that was rapidly changing. Following its establishment, the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom expanded rapidly under the leadership of Diodotus' successors, most notably his son Diodotus II and subsequent rulers like Euthydemus I. By the end of the 3rd century BCE, the kingdom had firmly established its independence and was flourishing both economically and culturally. Bactria's location was vital to its growth. The kingdom controlled key trade routes connecting the eastern Mediterranean with India, Persia, and Central Asia. This strategic position allowed Bactria to become a prosperous trading hub, facilitating exchanges of goods like silk, spices, and precious metals between the East and West. Merchants from India, Persia, and China all traveled through Bactria, making it a crossroads of ancient commerce. Greek merchants played an important role in this trade, while the local population, a blend of Persians, Greeks, and Central Asians, brought their own products and cultural influences. One of the greatest achievements of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom was its cultural synthesis. Greek settlers, many of whom were veterans of Alexander's army, had maintained their Hellenistic traditions, including Greek language, art, and philosophy. However, as time passed, they adapted to their new surroundings, incorporating Persian and Central Asian elements into their lives. This fusion can be seen in Bactrian coinage, which often featured Greek gods alongside local deities, and in the architecture, where Greek-style temples were built next to traditional Persian structures. The kingdom's capital, Bactra, modern-day Balkh, became a cultural and economic center renowned for its wealth, learning, and international connections. Bactra was a grand city with impressive Greek-style buildings, marketplaces, and theaters, and it served as a gathering point for philosophers, traders, and diplomats. The cultural influences of Greece, Persia, and India blended together, creating a unique environment where different traditions coexisted and enriched one another. This period of prosperity was marked by the rise of several powerful Greek rulers who expanded the kingdom's territories. Under Euthydemus I, the kingdom stretched into areas of modern-day Pakistan and northern India. Euthydemus even managed to fend off the Seleucid Empire's attempts to reclaim Bactria. His son Demetrius I further expanded the kingdom, even crossing into the Indian subcontinent, where he established a foothold in the northwestern regions. The Greek influence spread beyond Bactria's borders as well, particularly in the Indian subcontinent. Demetrius' invasion of India was not just a military campaign but also a cultural mission. Greek rulers in India, known as the Indo-Greek kings, established a legacy of Hellenistic rule that lasted for several centuries, contributing to the spread of Greek culture, coinage, and art. This influence played a significant role in the development of Buddhism and other Indian philosophies, as Greek ideas blended with indigenous thought. The prosperity of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom also gave rise to significant achievements in art and architecture. The blending of Greek and Eastern styles resulted in a unique artistic tradition known as Greco-Bactrian art. This art form was characterized by realistic sculptures and coinage, featuring Greek gods alongside local deities and portraits of the kings in the classical Greek style. The coins minted by Greco-Bactrian rulers, particularly those of Demetrius I and his successors, became widespread in Central Asia and India, serving as a symbol of the kingdom's wealth and influence. This era of expansion and prosperity did not last indefinitely, however. The kingdom's territorial gains, internal conflicts, and external threats began to create instability. Yet the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom's legacy, its cultural achievements, its role as a bridge between East and West, and its influence on the Indian subcontinent would endure long after the kingdom's eventual decline. At its zenith, the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom was a formidable power in Central Asia, both militarily and culturally. The kingdom's expansion into northern India marked one of its most significant chapters. Under Demetrius I, who ruled from around 200 BCE, the Greco-Bactrian forces crossed the Hindu Kush and penetrated the Indian subcontinent. Demetrius' military prowess enabled him to establish control over several territories in present-day Pakistan and northern India, even laying the groundwork for the Indo-Greek kingdom that would follow. The Greco-Bactrians, however, were not simply conquerors. They were also cultural emissaries, spreading Greek art, architecture, and coinage across the region. Demetrius and his successors minted coins that featured Greek gods alongside local deities, symbolizing the fusion of Hellenistic and Indian cultures. This era witnessed the flourishing of a unique art style that blended Greek realism with Indian religious motifs, as seen in the famous Gandhara art that emerged in the region. This fusion extended to religion as well. The presence of Greek rulers in the Indian subcontinent influenced the development of Buddhist art, with Greek-style depictions of the Buddha appearing in the region. This syncretism led to the creation of a distinctive Greco-Buddhist culture, which would continue to influence the region long after the fall of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom. Bactria itself remained a cultural and economic hub. The capital, Bactra, was a thriving metropolis, known for its impressive Greek-style architecture, theaters, and public baths. It was also a center for learning, where Greek philosophers and scholars interacted with local intellectuals. This intellectual exchange helped Bactra become a beacon of knowledge in the ancient world. Despite the kingdom's cultural and economic achievements, its internal unity began to waver. The large territory, with its diverse populations and frequent external threats, became increasingly difficult to govern. Moreover, as the Greco-Bactrians extended their influence further into India, they began to overextend their resources, creating tensions both within the royal family and among the various factions of the kingdom. These internal struggles would eventually contribute to the kingdom's decline. While the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom experienced remarkable success in its early years, it also faced mounting challenges both from within and from neighboring powers. To the west, the Seleucid Empire, though weakened, never completely abandoned its ambitions to regain control over Bactria. In the east, the Yuezhi, a nomadic people from the steppes, began to emerge as a powerful force. By the late 2nd century BCE, the Yuezhi began to push into Bactria. Their invasions represented a significant threat to the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom, as they were a nomadic force of immense strength, capable of overrunning settled cities and towns. The Yuezhi's movements were partly driven by pressure from even more powerful nomadic groups, such as the Xiongnu further east. In response, the Greco-Bactrians attempted to fortify their position by fortifying key cities like Bactra, but their resources were stretched thin. The kingdom was already dealing with the problem of internal division, with different factions vying for control. Some of the Greek rulers of Bactria had become more concerned with the welfare of their local domains rather than the stability of the kingdom as a whole. At the same time, Bactria's internal dynamics were growing increasingly complex. The kingdom's multi-ethnic composition made it difficult to maintain unity, and factionalism between Greek settlers and the local Bactrian population became a significant issue. These divisions were further exacerbated by the growing wealth disparity between the elites in the cities and the common people in the countryside. This confluence of internal strife and external pressure ultimately led to the kingdom's fragmentation. By 125 BCE, the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom had collapsed, with its territories being divided between the nomadic Yuezhi and various successor states, including the Indo-Greek kingdom in the west. Despite the downfall of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom, its cultural legacy endured for centuries. The exchange of ideas and goods between East and West, facilitated by the kingdom's role as a bridge between the two, left an indelible mark on the region. The blending of Greek and Indian cultures persisted in the Gandhara region, and the Indo-Greek influence continued to shape the history of India for centuries. The fall of the Greco-Bactrian Kingdom may have marked the end of an era, but the kingdom's contributions to art, culture, and commerce ensured that its legacy would live on, influencing future generations and shaping the development of Central Asia and South Asia.